Alright, y'all, I've got a real simple naan bread recipe I found on the interwebs. It's really good. I didn't modify very much at all. The recipe online calls for anise seed, and I'm just not a fan of it. So here we go. We got 4 cups of all-purpose flour. We've got 2 teaspoons of regular salt. We have 6 teaspoons of white sugar. We have 2 teaspoons of rapid rise yeast. Should have had my whisk with me. We're going to whisk that together with my rainbow. Let me use my dominant hand. There we go. You're going to whisk that real well together. Alright, another step here. This is the wet ingredients. I have 1.5 cups of about 110-ish degree water, excuse me. The weather's really nice outside, so that's all I'm thinking about. I have 2 full tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Isn't that cool? And I have 6 tablespoons of plain Greek yogurt. That's going to go in there. So you take your whisk and whisk that together. We're going to pour that into this bowl with our flour mix. Actually, let's stop. I'm going to make a little well in the middle of that. That's going to hold our wet ingredients. And all that does is just help the help my attachment that goes on my KitchenAid to be able to mix it better in the beginning. So pour that in there. Boom. Next. Alright, she's in my beautiful KitchenAid mixer here. Check these out. Alright, in the mixer, pull it down. I'm going to start it off on low. Anytime you have some wet and dry ingredients, especially some dry, don't ever start the mixer off real fast because you'll have a big, huge flour mess all over yourself, all over your counters, everywhere. There we go. That's going to mix for a couple of minutes. Alright, this is the part that people freak out about sometimes. It's starting to come together. If you keep letting this go, it'll eventually pick up all the stuff that's in the bottom of that looks like it's not ever going to make it. But it will, I promise. It'll start picking it all up once the dough starts getting to be worked. So that'll probably go for another 2-3 minutes until it's nice and smooth. And I'll show you that part in just a second. Alright, I turned the mixer up. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring out the gluten in the flour so it'll be nice and elastic. And that'll happen within, probably about the next 1.5 minutes or so. Alright, it's been going for probably a total of 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to stop it now. Your dough is going to look just like that. Which it looks really sticky, and it kind of is, but it's not so sticky that it completely comes off on your fingers. That's about what the dough consistency should be like. Alright, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a lightly greased with some olive oil pan, which is what I'm going to put our dough into. I'm just going to use that spatula. and dump it right into there. Cover it up with some plastic, and then I'm going to put it into this oven, which I've heated up to 175. It's as low as my oven would go, and then I turned it off because this is going to act as my proofer. You don't want it real hot because it won't proof correctly, and you don't want it to cook while it's in the pan. But you can feel it feels like a little space heater is kind of blowing in your feet. Just a little warm, but not. Alright, I think you can see the glare. I've got it wrapped in some plastic, and I put a little oil. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little olive oil on the top, so that when it rises and it's going to end up reaching to the top of the plastic, it doesn't stick. There you go. Now you can see it. I'm going to put it in my oven that I preheated and let cool down to, it should be about 120 degrees in here. And of course, my oven doesn't go to 120 degrees, but you can feel it. It's about 120 degrees, and that will rise for about an hour and a half. Alright, it's been in the oven for an hour and a half. The dough is risen. We'll take the top off. And that oil I put on the top helped the dough not to stick to the plastic. I've taken the dough out of the bowl and I've rolled it into a log that I'm going to cut in about 12 equal pieces with flour on the table. It's going to be really sticky, so you got to make sure you flour it so it doesn't stick. It's very, very soft. Alright, got one of my dough balls. We'll press it out by hand at first. Flip over, make sure I have flour all over it because it will stick very, very badly. See if I can do this with one hand. So I am trying to hold this camera. One hand. Yeah, I did it. That's about the thickness you want it. You can have it a little bit thicker. If you have it any thinner than that, it doesn't really work that well. I already have my cast iron skillet nice and hot. This is the trickiest part, is getting the heat right on this thing right here. Too hot and it wants to burn, too low and it doesn't want to cook right. So out of this whole process, this cast iron skillet, or whatever you're going to cook it in, I would suggest a cast iron or even a stainless steel will be the trickiest, most important part. She's bubbled up nice. We're going to take it. I wouldn't recommend using just your hand, but I'm kind of used to it. That looks good. So those bubbles that formed on the other side is what's going to get brown, and it's going to give you that iconic kind of naan bread look. Alright, let's turn this over. Boom! Look at that. All those bubbles that formed on the other side, when you flip it back, that's what you have. You can see how soft it is. Or maybe you can't. But there you go.